So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mels Gaming here with another Cabela'S Big Game Hunter Pro Hunts video. Now in this video we are going to be going for 100% achievements in this game. Now I had already got quite a few of the achievements from when I did my playthrough doing all of the Pro Slam hunts. So basically in this video we're just going to be finishing up all of the achievements that I didn't get so that we can have 100% on this game. Now for this very first achievement I had to try and take any of the small game that's in the game with a bow at a pretty long distance. So having this ability here where you can actually sort of have a little red dot that helps give you an indication of where your shot's gonna go, actually quite useful because it's really hard and there's nothing you can do to kind of like stop that little red circle coming up. It just comes up as soon as you sort of slow your breath down to steady and take the shot. And trying to hit something this small at this kind of distance with this, you know, basically next to no magnification is super hard. And I was using the broadheads specifically for small game that give you a little bit of an increased hit area from what the description said, to try and make this just a little bit more plausible. But basically I was trying to wait for one of these rabbits to get into a spot that was, you know, the right distance and also clear enough where I could actually see. And I imagine this is going to be super hard for you guys to actually see in the video. But right here, I figured I had my sort of best chance at this shot. And I took the shot, and thankfully we did hit the shot, and the Shashlik achievement pops up. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation of that achievement, by the way, to hunt a small game animal at over 70 yards with the bow. So I was actually really glad to get that one done. Thought it might be trickier than it actually was. The trickiest part was just getting something in the right place where I could see at that distance. Now another small game related achievement there was to take 2 birds with 1 shot, and managing to drop 2 of those birds there from that flock of 3 with a single shot gave us the double feather achievement. Again, just quite an easy one. It was just more about, you know, actually getting the shot in the right angle where there was 2 where I could line it up, and that was fairly simple. Another fairly simple one, but a bit of a grindy one, was a big pile of small, to hunt over 200 small game animals in the campaign. So that was an interesting one. I basically just sat at those rabbit burrows for ages and kept just shooting them over and over again as they kept popping out until eventually I managed to kill 200. Now moving on to a bit more of an interesting couple of achievements. So you can see here we're actually shooting at a grizzly bear, and we are going to actually shoot 3 grizzly bears in this clip. And I feel like this is also a really good time to mention something. You're going to notice there's no in-game audio being played throughout this video. That is intentional, it's not an editing error or anything like that. When I uploaded my first video on this game, which was doing all the Pro Slam hunts, there were some copyright issues, and I think some of the music and some of the dialogue from the guides when you shoot animals is copyrighted. So just to avoid any copyright issues at all, I've just decided to go with none of the in-game audio that pops up, and I'll probably just overlay some music that I have instead. Because yeah, I don't want to risk any copyright issues, but it's unfortunate because there is some like cool music and sound effects and stuff with this game. But managed to actually take down that first grizzly and now taking down the second one, both with single lung shots. We are using the 3006 semi-auto, which isn't my, you know, first choice for hunting grizzly bear. But it's part of one of the 2 achievements that we're trying to get here in one go. Basically trying to knock out 2 achievements at the same time here. And here we actually find the 3rd bear that I needed for this hunt. Now this was a little bit of a trickier angle, and honestly I was pretty happy with my shot placement here. And you're going to see exactly what happens here on the bullet cam. Going straight towards the lungs, clips the ribs, loses a lot of power and just stops shy of the lungs. Now this leads to one very angry grizzly bear coming barreling straight towards us, and I take a couple of shots just hoping I can clip something or bring this bear down, you know, with a brain shot or something if I can get lucky. But honestly, at this point, I was just trying not to get mauled to death and fail this hunt, because I really didn't want to lose the progress that I had towards one of the achievements. And neither of the 2 shots that I made as this bear were charging were any good, but thankfully that second one was enough to wound it enough to actually bring it down. And you can see we get both the Alpha Bear and 3 Pelts achievement. So the Alpha Bear achievement was to kill 10 bears with the 3006 semi-auto, which is why we're using this gun as opposed to something more powerful, as I would prefer to use like the 338 to hunt grizzlies. And the 3 Pelts achievement to hunt 3 bears in a single hunt. That's why I didn't want to end up dying to this bear and, like I said, lose that progress that I had gotten. Now, this next achievement took a few attempts to actually get, and actually the way that I did manage to get this in the end turned out to be pretty cool, so I'm really happy that this is the way I finally managed to get this achievement. Also, something interesting you'll notice is even if you get a lung shot, heart shot or anything, if the shot goes through and hits the guts, it will seemingly always register as a gut shot if you hit the stomach or the intestines. And that will give you a little bit of a negative with your cash bonus and everything. But either way, managed to get that bull in the lungs, so I knew he was gonna go and die quite quickly. And then I had to take a very quick follow-up shot, just hoping that I could bring one of the other elk down. And I managed to slap this cow in the back of the neck as she was running away. And she drops from that spine shot, which I was so thrilled with. Because, like I said, this one took a few attempts, and I was trying to, like, shoot one elk and then track the rest of the herd down and then take another, and it just didn't seem to work anytime I did that, so I wanted to try and get 2 before the herd actually disappeared. So managing to actually get this in this way and actually get that cow in the back of the neck was brilliant, and we got the Family Stays Together achievement to hunt 2 elk from the same herd, and like I said, that was just brilliant. And like I said, you can see losing some points there because the shot did go through and actually hit this bull in the stomach as well, but that long shot meant he went down really quickly, and as you will have seen, he was led not very far from where that cow elk fell, so that was really brilliant. Now for this next achievement, I had to shoot a grizzly bear in the heart, and I'm really pleased to say I managed to do this first attempt. When found a grizzly bear, sort of snuck in and then stood up to make him go alert and stand on his hind legs, and then just placed it centre of the chest and managed to centre punch the heart, which, as you can see, gives us the Heartbreaker achievement to shoot a grizzly in the heart. He just absolutely dropped, and I love the fact that they actually have sort of a unique animation for when you heart shot them like that. He didn't just sort of crumple into a pile, there was like some actual animation there, which was really brilliant. And we also got the little bit of extra for actually hitting a lung as well, so a little bit of extra cash, so that was really, really cool. Now moving on to the next achievement, and I had to hunt any big game animal at over 200 yards using a 2x magnification scope. Now, I thought moose would probably be the best target for this, using the 338, and just go for a long shot. You know, it's a decent sized target then, and I took that shot there, and I was really, really happy to see it hit the lungs. Again, the angle ends up going through and hitting the stomach because I am using the 338, and it's going to count that as a gut shot even though we've hit the lungs. But I didn't really care. At this point I was like, okay, we've hit the lungs, that's all I needed to do. As soon as she drops, I should get the achievement, and after a few seconds the claim the trophy thing pops up and we get the Eagle Eye achievement to hunt any big game from more than 200 yards using a 2x magnification scope. So that was actually fairly easy once I found somewhere, you know, where I could see for that distance. Again, losing a little bit of the bonuses and cash and stuff for actually hitting the stomach, but we still did what we needed to do for the achievement and still got some cash, which is going to be relevant for an achievement in a moment. Now, this achievement might be my favourite of all the ones that I got for this video. For this achievement, I had to hunt a charging black bear with the recurve bow. And this was the first black bear that I managed to get to charge. And I realised quite quickly that actually aiming wasn't gonna help me there, so quickly took just a quick fire shot and hit him straight in the brain, and we get the one-on-one achievement for that. Look at the actual placement of the arrow right in its head. I didn't know that the arrow was still going to show like that. I mean, that was probably the coolest moment out of all of the hunting I did trying to get all these achievements for this video. I thought that was really awesome. Just like that hip fire right at the last second and hitting him straight in the brain. Like, at such a close distance. That was so cool. And like I said, this was the first black bear that I managed to get to charge me. So, you know, I couldn't really be happier with that. It's always the way. When I was doing other hunts, I was getting charged by black bear all the time. But as soon as I wanted one to charge me, couldn't get one to do it. Then finally, get one to do it, and that happened. So, that was brilliant. Now, I mentioned cash being relevant for a little bit later in the video. This is why. For the last achievement I needed, we had to buy every single scope in the game to get the optician achievement, to buy all the scopes. So in some ways maybe one of the more boring achievements to leave till last, but also I needed a ton of cash because as you will have seen from the cost of that last scope that we just purchased, the scopes in this game aren't exactly cheap and it cost a lot of credits. So I needed a lot. So basically going through and doing all of the other achievements helped to build up enough credits, and then I did a little bit of grinding towards the end just to get the last few that I needed to be able to purchase that very last scope. But that is going to be it for this video, and that's probably going to be it for me playing this game. I really did want to go back through, like I said, and just get those last achievements that I didn't get whilst doing the initial playthrough of doing all the Pro Slam hunts. And I'm really pleased with this. It's a cool game to have 100% on, a bit of a more unusual one to have on Steam, it seems, these days. And yeah, just really cool and actually quite a lot of fun, and there was quite a few different ones. Like I said, I think that black bear one was my favourite just because of how everything went down, and it was just a really cool experience. Again, apologies for the lack of in-game audio, but copyright stuff, so don't want to mess with any of that. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that is going to be it for this one, so thank you so much for watching and for all your support as always. You were all so fantastic. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.